Greetings, I am Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator, today with Pillar Lives Tabletop Games. Today's episode, game I bought very early this year and finally took it out of the plastic and started reading the rules. Nippon Zaibatsu. It is around the middle of the 19th century, and Japan is looking more modernized. And to that end, you are going to lead your Zaibatsu in developing factories, connections, and influence, and all this other fun stuff. So at the start of the game, we'll get workers on each of these spaces, round tokens that will start here and here. This is the only one that will actually move. These little tokens that will start face down. They'll shuffle face down and then put them on a space face up. There'll be an extra one that will go back to the box. It'll take a number of factories equal to the number of players from each of the factory types and decide whether or not to play the A side or the B side of each one. A side is good for learning the game. You'll prepare a number of department bonus upgrade tokens equal to the number of players. And the expert workers on those spaces. You'll fill up the worker track based on the number of players. And then each player will have their Zaibatsu board with ships, machines, factories, their R&D, their mining, their finance, the favor tokens that will help determine your final objectives, spaces for your factories and their goods, spaces for your contracts. You'll have your influence tokens number 1 through 7 put to the side, and they are readily available. Your extra 3, 5, and 7 do not come into play until you reach that point of the R&D track. Your contracts will start on the other side, and you have your choice of which ones to fulfill over the course of the game as you see fit. There'll be a random first player. I may stumble through this a bit. Alright. Randomly determined face player, then set out random pairs of A and B tokens face up. With number of pairs equal to 1 plus number of players. So 2-player game, 3 pairs. Starting with the player to the right of the first player, proceeding counterclockwise. Each player chooses 1 pair. You will start on the victory points based on the A tile with a bonus effect. This is a -2 towards factory production during the game. For them, it's a train in a region. You'll also get some starting resources based on the other tile. Money, coal, silk, and maybe some progress on the finance track. Alright. Alright. So, let's remember who was first player here. Let's say it was purple. It would probably help if I actually had a first player token for this game. One moment. Seems fitting. Current player token, old 500 yen coin. You remember from my coins video? Alright. Alright. So the goal is to get the most victory points. And to that end, you'll be taking actions or consolidating. So, to take an action, you choose an action and take a worker from that column and do the action as shown there. After using the worker, it'll go to the lowest empty space of your worker track here. If you fill this track up, then you have to consolidate. And you have to have taken at least one worker to consolidate unless you're doing the final consolidation of the game. But there's a strategy to what kind of workers you want to take to fill up this track, which we'll get to in consolidation. So let's go over the actions. Here, you build a factory. To do that, you're going to need to build up your R&D. Or have enough silk to just bypass the whole thing. So let's look over the resources here. We've got iron. Iron is good for building trains and ships. And your second factory, your second machine in a factory. Coal is how you actually run your factories to produce your goods. Your goods are produced by your factories and are used towards influence, fulfilling contracts, or improving your finance track by that same action. Silk can be used one for one as money or to improve your R&D level temporarily. 1 for a +1, 3 for a +2, or 6 for a +3. And you're going to need to be able to get that R&D up to get those higher level factories. Okay. And then money. Alright. So yeah. Build a factory. It costs you 6 money, and then making sure you have at least that level of R&D to do it. Cotton and paper require level 2. Bento and lens require 4. Bulbs and clocks require 6. Here, you spend iron, or 3 iron, or 5 money in an iron to make a train. You can potentially make up to 3 trains if you've got the resources to do it. And each one has to go to a different region. So one of the things this player got to start out with was a train. Trains give you bonus influence, but only where you already have influence. Wherever you place them, they have to, they'll go to the top of the track, and you're limited to a number of trains in the region based on the number of players. 3 plus 2 for each player after the second. And then placing there gets that bonus. Alright. Influence is critical to the scoring stages of the game. Alright. In this column, you can spend 1, 3, or 6 money for 1, 2, or 3 steps of progress on your R&D track. This space lets you produce. You can produce in up to 3 of your factories once each by spending the coal necessary. Let's say I've got this cotton and bento factory, and let's say one of them has a machine. So I'm spending 5 coal. I'm getting 1 good on the cotton factory and 2 goods on the bento. Certain factories will have certain immediate effects, or depending on when you actually do certain actions. For these ones, putting a machine on them will get you some bonuses. These, when you actually produce with them, will provide bonuses. This one is when you fulfill contracts. Every contract you fulfill that turn gives you a finance bump. This one's whenever you put a train in a region, also get the regional bonus. Yeah. You're limited to 4 goods per factory, and even if you do have 2 factories of the same type, you cannot move goods between them. Any excess goods produced are lost. Alright. Here, increase your mining track. More mining level means more coal in consolidation. Here, you give up goods to fulfill contracts or improve your finance track or any combination of those. So the first thing you do is give up 1 good. Then the next thing you can do is give up 2 goods of a different type. And the next thing you can do is give up 3 goods of a different type. For each one of these that you do, you can either improve your finance track by 2 or fulfill a contract. When you fulfill a contract, you get the department bonus. Let's say I fulfill this contract, I'm going to get my department bonus of silk. That gives me 2 more silk, and now I can not do that contract again. These 2 are special. You have to have used that type of good. But that lets you take any department bonus. Here, build a ship. It takes 3 iron or 5 money and 1 iron. And you can build up to 3 ships going to 3 different places. And it'll come off your track here. When you send a ship, you have to send it to where there's an expert worker, and it has to have space available. Let's say we send it to Paris. So if we don't already have the upgraded department, we take that token. And we take the expert worker, and it goes to that space. The lowest space available on your worker track. Expert workers will be returned when you consolidate. Meaning that another player can go there. You can even go to the same location, just to make absolutely sure your opponent cannot take it. Here, you spend 5 money and make a machine. You have to have a factory built to take it. When you build a machine, it'll go to the leftmost spot of the factory. If you already have a machine there, it's also going to cost you an additional iron. But 3 goods for 1 production is pretty nice. Something I haven't pointed out yet. As you remove ships and machines and trains, if these 2 are empty next to a bonus, you get that bonus. So you want to try to develop that way as well. Anytime you enter a spot on these tracks that shows a bonus, you get that bonus. R&D will get you coal and eventually your extra influence markers. Mining will get you your iron department and eventually your finance or your foreign relations. Maxing out your finance will give you give you the foreign relations points. Up here, it's finance, getting more silk, getting R&D, or mining, or getting more victory points. Yeah. And then this action is where you take the goods that you've got, pick a region, and influence it. These pre-printed values represent outside influence. You want to neutralize that outside influence and replace it with your own. So let's say. So the formula for influencing the region is you look at the goods type. Paper and cotton start out at 1. Lenses and bentos start out at 3. Bulbs and clocks start out at 5. One good gets you that basic number. And then every good after that increases it. So let's say I've got my bento factory and I've got 2 goods there. And I decide to do this region. So I would look at this one here. I would see that 2 bento is 4 influence. I have my 4 influence token. I spend those goods, place the token there, and then I get 3 money. If I have other factories and the right kind of influence token available to do so, I could potentially do up to 3 in a turn. With fewer players, fewer things can be influenced. By placing a higher influence, you can potentially replace someone else, potentially return someone else's lowest, or replace your own. Maybe you need the bonus. Maybe you're just trying to make absolutely sure you beat the outside influence. But these tokens are the only ones you're going to get for the game. If you can get the other 3, that'll help. But it takes building the factory, making the goods, and then sending them into the regions to influence. Alright. Alternatively, if you don't like this, you can always take 2 victory points. And again, once you've done with your action, you take that worker, put them in the lowest spot that's still open. The strategy is, after you figure out what you're trying to have here, you want someone different at the highest point you're going to consolidate. You're also trying to develop either your tracks or your factories and contracts that you want to try to get your high bonus in. Alright. So let's say you've done your action on your turn, your opponent does their action, then you come back to do yours, and instead you consolidate. Or let's say it's been going on, let's say it's been going on enough that, let's say these were on spaces and these managed to fill up. Here. There's black, white, and blue. There we go. The ones I pull off. Alright. Let's say I'm at this point and I want to consolidate. Because my resources are kind of weird. Alright. So, you will take the favor token and the topmost worker next to the topmost worker. Or lower. It's entirely possible to get maxed out here and have nothing left out of these. You just take the next lowest one. Alright. You will place that token on the thing you're pretty sure is going to do well at the end of the game. Especially if it's your topmost favor type. So let's say I put it here next to finance. Depending on how far along I get this track will determine how many points I get. But this level of favor means I'm not going to get a whole lot of points. Okay. And then discard all money and coal you have. You will get your income. So 14 in money, 2 in coal. Let's see here, 9. Let's take another 5. Alright, cool. You will take department bonuses based on the first worker you took and the last worker you took. Let me just double check one little thing though. Alright. You have to have had have at least 4 workers in your area, and these 2 have to be different colors in order to get this bonus too. You will always get this bonus. So in this case, I get 2 iron and 2 coal. Iron and 2 coal. Alright. And then I gotta pay $3 for every worker I got, including expert workers. So that's gonna cost me 12 of my money. You cannot spend the last one that you'd have, so the absolute least I would need to have is 13. If I played smart with my strategy, I could take a little more of a risk with trying to make sure I get my department bonuses. But you want to try to develop your finances to cover the people that you're going to get. And leave you some money left over to do other stuff. Any one money that you cannot pay is a point backwards. Any expert workers go back to Iwakura mission, and all these workers go back to the bag. So yeah, people will be taking their actions or consolidating. Eventually you'll get to a point where you'll take the last worker off of space. After resolving your action, you'll have to refill. So we do that, and that refills there. And then let's just say we wiped out that space after taking a few others. Alright. So, say we did that. Alright. So when that happens, we hit end of a round. We move this to the right. If this is already next to this line, then before doing that, we'll do the scoring step. For each region, you will count up your own influence there. And then you'll also count the uncovered numbers in that region as well. The player with the highest influence gets the high points. And if there's a tie, they'll combine them together and split them. The overseas influence is considered a player, but does not track their points unless you want to take an extra resource and keep track of it for fun. And then once each of the regions is scored, it'll continue on with everything else. So, yeah, another round. Do the scoring, then move it. Add a random worker from the bag to each space with less than 3. And then fill the rows of the worker queue with random workers from the bag. So, from my left, we got one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. And we'll fill up to these 2 rows here. Alright. And then the player to the left of the active player can start their turn. Eventually, this will move here. This goes to the player to the left of the active player. So let's say it happened on purple's turn, it's going to orange. When all players, starting with the player holding the round marker, have taken 1 turn each, the current round ends. After 3 final rounds, we go to final scoring. Alright. You'll have 1 final consolidation to do because you're going to need to pay for your people. But you'll still get some resources out of it. And it might help with final scoring for some extra points. Starting with the from the top down, you'll check. You'll look at your favors. If you cleared out your tokens to at least this point, or at least this point, you'll get points based on your favor type. The lowest favor for this track will be 10 at this point, or 5 back here. The one in the middle is 16 or 8. And then the big one would be 20 or 10. Again, clearing out tokens here or moving up the track here. Building factories or fulfilling contracts. Favors here. It's going to be quite a bit more points. Just focusing on factories and contracts. But you have to get at least 2 to make it anything. It is entirely possible that that they give you the 300 point token, and if somehow you actually manage to get to that point, way to go. Any remaining resources no matter what their types are. Uh, you get 1 point for every 3, and any remaining money you have, you get 1 point for every 5. If there's a tie, the tied player who took the last turn, or is the closest to taking the last turn of the game, is the winner. So, let's look strategically at this here. You're trying to set up your workers to get the bonuses. You want to send ships to improve your bonuses. You want factories, and you want the coal to run them, and you want the machines to make them better, more efficient. You might look at their special abilities for things you can make use of as well. You want to fulfill contracts for extra resources that you might need, and also to get some extra points at the end. You want to build this up to set up your favors and focus on those things to make the most of those favors to maximize your points potential. You want to produce goods and send them out to influence areas, but also use your trains to help bolster that and keep you on top of that situation. So you want to try to have different factories to cover your bases across as much of Japan as possible. You want to have your finances up to cover whatever workers you're going to take. You want to have your mining up to have the coal to run your factories. You want to have your R&D up to build better factories. You want to try to get silk to save you the struggle of the R&D and get the stuff sooner than people are expecting. It seems like a lot, but now that I've actually kind of gone through it, I think I can explain this pretty well to the group of people I'm playing it with for the first time. So why exactly do I like this game that I have yet to play with anyone? That I just bought because, oh hey, this one guy has it and he seems pretty positive about it, so cool, I'm going to buy that game too. Looking at it now, the way things connect together, this approach is interesting. It's not a worker placement game. Because you taking the worker and taking that action, it doesn't stop someone else from taking that action either. It might mess with their plans for their department bonuses. Oh, that's the other thing. Once we're in this stage, this stops getting refilled. Yeah. And having to plan carefully to make sure you even have these tokens, but also build up to score them, is an interesting challenge as well. It's entirely possible that you just get utterly sidetracked and forget to go after what you were trying to go after in the first place. It's my only I wish moment for the game is I kind of wish it could go to 5 players, but I think that 4, it seems like it'd be a reasonable time. And taking your own turn, pull a guy, action, then if necessary refill, and if necessary resolve round stuff, but then it just passes on the next turn. And if you need to consolidate, it shouldn't be that hard to to get your favor, reconcile your money and coal, pay your people, get your bonuses, or get your bonuses, then pay your people. It's interesting, and I'm really gonna have to play it to fully figure out what I'm gonna like about this game. This changing all the time, or each game, it's gonna be nice. These combinations, I'll have to take a look and see like if there's maybe a combination that's almost anywhere close to broken or whatever. Anything else I'm missing about the game? Oh yeah, with fewer players, you use fewer workers in the bag. Yeah, one set of 6 per player is taken out for each player missing. There's a way to play the game solo, and I'm gonna have to feature that too. There's a way to add common goals or factories for late game bonuses. There's also experimenting with the opposite sides, which is another way to expand on the replayability of the game. And then just trying different things, ending up with different workers. The game's, even if the mechanics are going to be the same, the fact that things can be different each time is always a positive in my book. But I think I picked up this game partly because love Japan, or at least the kind of culture of business and creativity. This is yet another Japan history game I got. Yeah, it's an interesting game as far as I've looked through it. I'll still have to actually play the game, so look forward to first few rounds and watch me play it solo. All right, thanks for watching me feature Nippon Zaibatsu, and if you can check it out, do check it out, and just have fun. All right, thanks for watching. It's Pillar. We'll see you next time.